Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Matthew Varga here. In today's video, I'm going to go over 5 ways that you can increase cash flow on your rental property. Now obviously these 5 ways are not going to work for every person, for every property, but hopefully there's a few of these that you can take away for your current property or your next investment property to help increase your cash flow. Now, before I jump into today's video, I just wanted to mention that I am now doing one-on-one coaching for a few select people. I just opened up a few of these per month because it's been highly requested. So if you want to know more about that, just check out the link down below and you can find out more. Okay, let's jump right into today's video. The first way that you can increase cash flow on your property is to add coin laundry. Have you ever lived in an apartment building that had coin laundry? I know I had before, and I used to spend quite a bit each month. So these laundry machines were bringing in a massive amount of cash flow each month for the owner of that building. Now obviously this doesn't work for single family homes or duplexes, but it could definitely work for some larger buildings, maybe a triplex, maybe a fourplex, depending on the size and how it's laid out. And definitely if you're investing in smaller or larger apartment buildings, this is a great opportunity for you to increase your cash flow on that building. So if you currently have a larger multifamily home, definitely look into adding coin laundry to increase your revenue and cash flow on that property. So next we have charging for parking spaces. Now I know a lot of people just assume that you can only do this if you live in a big metropolitan city, but that's not true. You can actually do this in some smaller cities as well. For example, if you own a property near a stadium, you could definitely charge people to park there when there's an event on, a concert, any kind of game. A lot of stadiums are located outside of city centers, so there's definitely an opportunity here. And I know quite a few people who are making pretty good cash flow each month by renting out spaces during events. Thanks to technology, it's actually never been easier to just rent out a parking space. There are dozens of apps out there that you can download to help you find people who need to rent a spot for the day. For example, we have Rover, we have Spot Hero, we have Parking for Me, we have Park My Drive. So there's a lot of options out there for apps that will help you rent out your parking space each month. The great thing is that you can rent out parking spaces short term using one of these apps, or you can rent out parking spaces long term on monthly rates. So for example, in one of the condos that we own, we actually rent out our parking space each month for $200. So this condo is not in the city center, it's outside of the city. And because there's not a lot of parking around, we're able to charge quite a good premium on this parking spot because there's nowhere else to park and there's very limited spots. So we're able to charge a very good amount each month. Plus the person who rented our spot gave us a $500 cash bonus for picking them over other people. So just let you know there's quite a lot of options when you're renting out a parking spot and you can make good revenue each month doing it. Next up, we have renting out a detached garage for storage. This is a great option that a lot of people don't think about, and they could be missing out on hundreds of dollars a month. Most people just assume if you're renting out a house to someone, that means that they get full access to the garage as well, but that's not the case. You can definitely rent out that garage separately to someone else as long as you have that negotiated with the tenant who's living in the house. So there are a lot of people out there who are looking for storage space and looking for different options outside of your standard storage units. Maybe they need something bigger like a garage. Maybe they're looking for something that's closer to home. So there's definitely a good market here that you can find people who need to store a separate vehicle or an old car, boat, or sometimes just crap that they have that doesn't fit in their home that they want to store until they decide what to do with it. I know a lot of people who are renting out their detached garages, and some of them are getting $300, $400, $500 a month depending on the size of that garage. So those first 3 strategies were more about bringing in extra revenue for your rental property. These next 2 strategies are more about decreasing your costs and postponing payments to increase your cash flow each month. So first up, we have using the skip a payment option each year with your rental property. So most banks will actually allow you to skip a mortgage payment each year. Now this can increase your cash flow because you're not making that extra monthly payment. You need to keep in mind if you're using this option that interest will accumulate and you will pay more interest in the long run by doing this option. But for some people, it's more important to get that cash flow today that they can use today for whatever they want than to worry about the extra interest that they're going to pay in the long run. Because for most people, they know that they have their tenants in there who are paying all their costs for them, so that extra interest they're paying is really just passed on to the tenants who are living there and paying rent. So if using this strategy, you definitely need to know your numbers and you need to be aware of that extra cost that you will accumulate over the years of doing it. But for the right person, this is a great option to increase your cash flow for the year because you're skipping that monthly payment and that monthly rent you collect just goes right in your pocket. The next option is more for a new purchase, but it's postponing that very first mortgage payment with the bank after you take hold of a new property. So this is a trick that we like to do all the time with our brand new purchases. And what we do is we push that first mortgage payment to as far out as the bank will allow. So some banks will allow you to push that first mortgage payment out 30 days. Some will allow you to push it out 60 days. So the way this works is, let's just say we are taking ownership of a property in July. So what we've done is we've negotiated with the seller to allow us to show this property to tenants. So that way come July 1st, we've got new tenants in that property and they're paying us rent for July. So we've got July rent. And then, as I was saying, we like to push out that mortgage payment with the bank. So if we can push it out to say August or September, depending on the bank, that now allows us to collect rent for July, August, and potentially September before we have to make that first mortgage payment. So with this strategy, we can get 2 to 3 months rent before we have to make a mortgage payment. So that extra rent that we're collecting, we normally just put aside into our emergency fund for future expenses for this property. So if you have 4, 5, 6 properties and you're using this strategy, it can definitely add up to quite a good sum of money that you can have set aside into account for those rainy days. So there you have it, 5 different ways that you can increase cash flow on your rental property. I wanted to give you a few different options for increasing revenue or strategic financial things where you could reduce your costs, reduce your expenses. So hopefully you can take 1 or 2 of these away, use them for your current property or some future properties. Leave a comment down below with any unique strategies you've used to increase cash flow on your properties or in your business. I always love to hear new ideas that I can take and maybe utilize in one of our properties. I really hope you liked today's video. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.